Hello and welcome to the ninth part of our tutorial series about the Python basics. This part is about functions. So what are functions? In our last videos we already used functions. We already used functions in the very first video, in the very first part of the tutorial, and yeah. Functions are a block of code which defines something the program is later possible or able to do. So yeah, this definition is a little bit confusing. What does that mean? For example, print is a function. Print is something which is already defined, and yeah, what needs an argument and what returns. It doesn't return something, but which does something. So before I give any more confusing definitions, I will just write a function and explain everything while writing the function. So the keyword for a function is definition. And after that, like a variable, we have to name a function. Now we name our function do nothing, be lazy. And yeah, what arguments in a function are we learn later. Now we just have to know that there are braces after naming the functions, and then of course the colon like we had in a while loop, like here, or in a if condition in our previous videos. So after the while loop, it's Python, we have to add a level of indentation. And in that level of indentation we can write whatever we want, as at least it has to be code. But yeah, we can write print I am a lazy person, too lazy to do anything. And yeah, now we can call this function. So if we just press play, nothing will happen. There is no printing, nothing. But we can call the function like we can call the print function. We can call now our own function. And now it is printed, I am a lazy person, too lazy to do something. We can, no, that was something else. So there are not only functions which just do nothing. They are not only lazy functions. There are also functions who need arguments, and when we want to write a function which needs arguments, we just type some variables in the braces after the name of the function, for example a and b. And now we say, hi, I'm a lazy person, too lazy to do anything. Then we print a, then we print b, then we print a plus b. So what will happen now? It will give us a mistake because it is missing two required positional arguments, a and b. So back to our function we are calling, we need to type two arguments for a and b, which can be 2 and 4. And yeah, because I'm using an IDE, it already tells us which variable gets which value. So the a variable gets the value 2, the b variable gets the value 4. And now if we execute the program, it first prints 2, then 4, then 6, because that's how we defined it in our function. We can also add the variables to the string we are printing. And Python has a cool way to implement some values into a string. Before our quotation marks we type f, and then now we can add curly brackets in the string like this. And yes, if we are typing our integer value in the curly brackets, it will print the integer. So that was just for an example how you can implement values in a string. I didn't say that before, so I'm saying it now. So functions don't only print or do nothing, they can also return a value. For example, a function can multiply, can take two arguments and multiply them. We define a new function which is called do something. It needs two values, and it returns a plus b. So if we call our function do something 2 and 4, it will do nothing. If you don't believe me, I run the code. It does nothing, and it does nothing based on that we didn't print anything. So now we are printing our function, and it prints 6 because, this function is meant to calculate with our arguments and return another variable, which can be an integer. We can also return it as a string. So now 6 is now a string. We can do anything we want. But not only the functions we define, even some basic functions work in the same way. For example, if we have a string and we type in upper and wanna print it, it will give us the uppercase letters of A, S, D, L, F, because we had the function upper. Now this function is the function of an object, and what objects and classes are we are gonna handle in I guess about not the next video, but the video after the next video. Last but not least, I want to explain what what default values are. For example, we can say x equals 2, b equals 2. Now we can print everything like before. 6 is now a string. We can also print do something without typing any arguments, and it will still give us 4 is now a string, because as a default value a is 2 and b is 2. So if there's no value which we mention in while calling the function, it will rely on the default values. So if we want to do some good conceptual code, we can also do stuff which is not really necessary, but helps others to understand the code better. First off, we can say a must be an integer if a is always meant to be an integer, and the code wouldn't work if a is, for example, a string. Now in that case, if we type in to do f something and instead of 2 we type fs, it should give us a warning, because it here you can read accepted type integer got string instead. So the last thing I want to show is the purpose statement. So we can add three braces, or three quotation marks, and it can be 3 double or 3 single quotation marks, but 3 quotation marks, then we press enter, and then we are able to write a purpose statement. For example, does something, returns a plus b equal integer, a cooler integer, the coolest integer. So why am I doing that? What does it do? If we lay our cursor above the function, we see what we just typed in. It's like the definition, the explanation of the function. It does something, returns a plus b, then params, a is a cool integer, b is a cooler integer, and returns the coolest integer. So it's another way of preparing the code to be able to be used for other creators, other people who will read the code. So you should always do purpose statements. It's some aesthetic. If you are really just doing the code for yourself or just trying something, you don't need a purpose statement. But if you want to write the code for others, if you're doing a project in a team, always write a purpose statement. Yeah. It is some aesthetical thing, like when you have larger code, you always should write global variables with uppercase, like a is 3 and not small a is 3. Yeah. So I hoped you could learn something from that video. I hope you're doing fine. Have a great evening, night, morning, whatever time it is. See you in the next video. Goodbye.